The coward, the planner, the idler, and now the perfectionist. 4 of 9 archetypes to be covered in the Ego in Essence series. We left off on the idler's strategy of indolence, the most commonly used strategy for dealing with bad sensation. The challenges offered by bad sensation are something we're faced with the moment we're born, unlike the problems of possibility and the problems of attention that come up a little bit later. In case I haven't, I want to make it clear that each of us make use of all 9 strategies covered in the series, but we tend to rely on some more heavily than others. The strategies we choose are largely dictated by biological predisposition, but our culture can influence the relative power of these strategies as well. Though I personally tend toward cowardice and planning, I've found that growing up in American Christianity has made this video strategy rather pertinent for me. That strategy is resentment. While the idler attempts to remain in the womb, remain in Eden, so to speak, numbing themselves to anything contrary to that fantasy, the perfectionist, one who practices resentment, attempts to recreate Eden on Earth. Rather than pretending bad sensations are not there, the perfectionist is very much aware of bad sensation, painfully so, and they take it upon themselves to eliminate that bad sensation by living correctly, directing others, and fixing their environment. This focus on what's wrong with the world and with themselves is what resentment refers to. That focus results in the deadly sin of anger, which is a consistent frustration, annoyance, or discontent with themselves or the world for not being as they quote-unquote should be. The perfectionist, if you can believe it, most desires perfection, which could also be called integrity or wholeness. They desire for everything to work together as it should. Such perfection also correlates to beauty, one of the 3 transcendentals of philosophy, the others being the good and the true. Striving to meet expectations, to improve ourselves and the world around us, are things American Christianity and its puritanical influence does a lot to encourage. What the perfectionist doesn't realize is that perfection, holy perfection, just like holy love, is unconditional and doesn't need to be worked for. The perfection the perfectionist seeks is already theirs. That is to say, they and the world around them are already perfect. How could that be, you might ask? There are clearly so many things wrong with me and with the world. Without getting too deep into perfection, the issue here is similar to those of every other video in this series. The issue is that we're looking at the world through an egoic framework, deciding what's good or bad according to our ego's preferences. The divine attributes or transcendent qualities like perfection, however, are not conditioned by these preferences. They are true regardless of whether or not we like their contents. When the young perfectionist experiences bad sensations, which are sensations they dislike, rather than accepting these sensations for what they are, the perfectionist creates their own idea of perfection that operates apart from these unpleasant sensations. This makes perfection conditional and something they can supposedly earn. The goal of being perfect or feeling right then becomes impossible, as the world will always contain things the ego dislikes. The perfectionist gets caught in a constant cycle of frustration, a cycle that they simultaneously rely on to feel as though they're making progress, but also wish to escape or attempt to deny, as anger and frustration are themselves bad sensations they wish to eliminate. What each perfectionist decides is the right way that they or others should be varies from person to person, but all perfectionists are adamant that their way is the only way. When maintaining their sense of integrity feels like a life or death situation, allowing for faults may be unacceptable. Whatever their model of perfection is, the perfectionist can't help but see everyone and everything as either an enemy that needs to be destroyed or a project that needs to be improved so things can become whole again. This, just like anger, may be something they're unwilling to acknowledge, however, as such an attitude will probably be seen as less than perfect. Because of this warring against reality, perfectionists have overlap with the warrior archetype, or more specifically, the Asuras of Indian religions and the Titans of Greek mythology. As already mentioned, the opposite of resentment, what a perfectionist needs to overcome their anger, is holy perfection, which is the awareness that all things are already perfect. This awareness results in serenity, the sense that you are whole and no longer have to strive to be so. If all this sounds counterintuitive, hang with me. Holy perfection and serenity do not mean there isn't work to be done. It just changes the nature of that work. For now, try to consider, am I angry? Do I feel as though I or the world are not as they should be? Do I long to be free of such feelings? If you answered yes to these, You might be resentful.